Welcome to Beyond the Contract.
Hello, I'm Karen. I'm the operations manager at Pemberton Holmes Property Management right here on beautiful Vancouver Island. Day to day, I'm behind the scenes making sure the gears of property management are actually turning. But I'm stepping in front of the mic for a specific reason, to pull back the curtain on this industry. For a long time, people have looked at property management as collecting rent or fixing toilets, but it's so much more than that. It's about community, local investments, and high-level problem solving. I'm here to explore the why behind what we do and hopefully change the mindset of what you think these professions are really about.
Hi, I'm Sasha. I work with Pemberton Homes, where I lead recruitment and agent development, and have spent many years organizing and facilitating training for agents across the company. Through that, I have worked closely with agents at every stage of their career, and I'm also a licensed real estate agent myself. Real estate is not just my profession, it is something I am deeply connected to in my day-to-day life. A big part of why I am here is to bring a more informed and honest perspective to the industry, and to challenge some of the assumptions people often have about what real estate actually looks like.
Welcome to Beyond the Contract.
Today, we're sitting down with Vanessa Roman to talk about what life is like as a realtor. And we're looking at not just the highlights, but the everyday, the day-to-day, what it really actually looks like, how it is for you. So thank you very much, Vanessa, for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. For anyone who may not know you, can you give us a quick overview of yourself, how you got into the business, and let us get to know you a bit?
Yeah, I've been an agent now for about 19 years. I started my career back in Nova Scotia and then transitioned out here to BC. And it's interesting, there's a lot of different people in real estate that have very diverse backgrounds. And I don't think I've met anyone yet that woke up, in middle school and said, I am going to be a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody does that. You do all kinds of other things. And my path kind of followed that as well. So it started, I went to university, so I have 2 university degrees. And then, 25, 27 years ago, everybody was starting to get into the idea of flipping houses. And so that's what my husband and I were doing here in Victoria. And I had never intended to be a real estate agent. And then when we moved to Nova Scotia, I said, okay, well, you know what? Let's just continue on with that business because it was really exciting. It was quite lucrative. And so ultimately, I got my license there just to be able to find more houses for my husband and I to flip. And so then as you meet people and you start talking to different individuals, this is sort of before all of the HGTV shows came out and everybody knew what flipping was.
Okay.
And now it's almost a dirty word that no one wants to say. Kind of like real estate agent.
Yeah.
They're both the same, right?
Yeah.
So back then everyone was like, oh, what are you doing? And I said, we're renovating these houses and then selling them. And then people started saying, well, can you find me one of these renovation projects? And I was like, yeah, I probably can, because I come across a lot of them because, again, this is before everybody was doing it. And so that's how I started, is I would find you a renovation project and then I'd sell it for you and I'd find you one. And before I knew it, I actually didn't have time to do any myself because I was too busy finding everybody else all of their own projects. Mm-hmm. So that's how I kind of fell into it. And then, like any career, it evolved. So I started selling, residential houses. I wasn't doing the resale. And then I really sort of started focusing on sort of the military community because in Nova Scotia and in Halifax in particular, that was a really big sort of pool of buyers and sellers that sort of consistently had a good turnaround. So from a business model perspective, that was a nice niche to sort of focus in on. And so I was doing that. And then, interestingly, I was offered a radio show about real estate. So I started doing that. And then HGTV called and I did a TV show about real estate. So I've been able to parlay this career into a lot of different venues. I had an article that I wrote internationally for every week. So it was in the newspaper. So I kind of had newspaper, I had radio, I had television, and then I literally had bricks and mortar that I was selling. So it was kind of exciting.
Wow,
That
that's
is
amazing.
exciting.
That is exciting.
yeah.
That's amazing. That's so interesting to see how you've been able to use real estate to do so many other things. And I think that's what we're trying to tell our audience is that it's not just, buying and selling a house. There's so much more to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's fascinating.
Yeah. I like that your passion was actually like as a buyer to start. And so that's what you were just doing. And
Yeah.
it kind of just like sounds like it kind of was convenient that you got your license and then it kind of fell in your lap that, oh, actually, you're obviously pretty good at it out there selling properties and being able to share that passion with other people.
Well, and that's one thing that, in any career, look for the opportunities, right? Like, I don't know if there's many careers these days where there is a real roadmap. Do this, then that, then this, and here's the end result. I think because we have a global economy and because we have a lot of people that, especially with AI and technology, jobs are changing and the way that we work changes.
Yes.
And I think that if you're going to be in real estate, you have to be able to adapt and you have to be able to pivot. So, like I listen to agents that have, been in the business way longer than I have. And I remember when I first started, there was this one agent in Halifax and he had this, like big Cadillac, like the boat, because back then you went to your client's house, you picked them up, and then you drove them to the couple of houses that you would see that day. And he said on Thursdays, there used to be the book.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's
I've
the
heard of
book?
the book,
You see, this mysterious book. This book is, this is before computers, right? Before cell phones. So someone, I don't know who, someone would figure out all of the properties that were uploaded to MLS. And how they uploaded them before computers, I don't actually know. But at some point, they did some kind of printing. And so you would learn about the new properties that were for sale every Thursday morning at 9:30 because the book would come. And so you'd have, who knows, 10, 20, 30 agents, whoever was keen, flipping through these pages, trying to determine if that property would work for this client. And then I don't know how they actually got the information to their clients. Maybe it was a mystery. I'll pick you up in my big car and we're going to go on a little mystery ride.
See what's out there.
Right? And so, imagine that agent but working today. So today you have everything is online. Yeah. You have floor plans, you have multimedia, you have clients that have all kinds of resources and can find out about a ton of properties. And they are very well informed versus all of that information coming solely from the agent. It's a much better balance in the relationship because I don't hold all the cards, right? I have a lot of information, but I don't know everything. And, my managing broker, he's very famous for saying, you don't need to know everything, but you need to know where to find the information. So be a librarian, right? And I've really taken that to heart because I think sometimes you try, with real good intention, but you really try to answer all of your clients' questions and know all of the information. And I think some agents are afraid to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I know where to find the information.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's
Just being honest.
just be honest. Like don't make it up. Because the reality is that, especially in Victoria, houses are extremely expensive.
Yes.
And when you off the cuff give an answer that may not be accurate, that can mean hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, to your client. And you have a responsibility to your client to ensure that the information you give them is accurate and factual. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Is there a moment in your career where you kind of figured that out, like something happened and like as you've moved into this new phase of how to be a real estate agent and all the new tools and things that are available to us, is there a moment when you kind of went, oh my God, I got to do this different than I used to? Do you have any type of like thought about how when that hit home?
Well, I don't think it is one aha moment. So I think from my perspective anyway, what I realized is that you need, number one, to have very good mentors in your life. So this like when I got licensed 19 years ago or something, it was a 1-month course.
Wow.
That I went 8 to 4. I sat in a classroom, and after that month, I wrote a little exam, and then I was a real estate agent.
Okay.
So there was almost no barrier to entry to get into this profession. I have 2 university degrees. It took me 8 years to get those.
Yeah.
Right?
1 month to get
1 month to be a real estate agent and jazz hands, right? And that's actually the problem that I have, with our profession as a whole. Is I think in BC, it's now maybe a year-long course. You do a lot of it online. But again, it's not, like when you think about the average, I think the stat in Canada, the average person buys or sells like 6 properties in their lifetime.
Okay.
Okay. So it's not a process that most people are overly familiar with. Decades can go in between each experience that someone has.
Mm-hmm.
So you as the real estate agent are charged with managing that and directing that. And we hold ourselves to standards. Obviously, we act like we're a professional organization. But what we don't have, what we're missing, is that mentorship or articling or internship, whatever the word is you want to call it. Like if you're a lawyer, you don't get to get out of school and start practicing.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't get to be a doctor without going through an internship. And I feel like that process is very beneficial to everybody. Agents should not be able to write an exam and then tomorrow on their own go start buying and selling millions of dollars of property with no real supervision.
So is that kind of a misconception in the real estate world that you can just go get your license and start selling? Is there any limits to that, or is that just kind of where
There's no limits? You get a license,
you can do it?
you're licensed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's the concern. So that's, sometimes, well, not even sometimes, most times, when I go to meet a buyer or a seller, I am educating them on the questions they should be asking me.
Okay.
And the reason that I do that is because they don't necessarily know what they don't know.
Right.
They don't necessarily know what skill set I should have in order to serve them best. Because that's the reality is I am my own unique individual. You are your unique individual. You too. It doesn't mean that there's only one agent that will be able to fit into everybody's sort of portfolio. Mm-hmm. So you need to determine if the agent that you've chosen to speak with has the skill set, has the knowledge, has the neighborhood information that you need specifically. So for example, I don't do a lot of commercial real estate. I'm not your go-to for commercial. I'm your go-to for residential. I'm your go-to maybe for construction projects. But there are different niches, and I think the best agents focus in on that niche, right? Yeah. Don't be afraid to be in a small area where you have real market expertise, and then display that to your clients. Yeah. Say to them, okay, I've been an agent for 19 years. Well, that's great. How many properties have you actually sold this year?
Exactly.
Because if it's only one, it doesn't matter if I've been an agent for 19 years. I don't have much more experience than you do.
Yeah.
Right? So that is like these qualifying questions, right? Yeah. And so I think when you're thinking about people that are getting into real estate, the first thing I always say when someone says, oh, I love that you guys drive really fancy cars. You go for lunch every day. Oh my gosh. And you have the best wardrobes and it's so easy.
Yeah. Oh, and you guys make so much money.
So much money. Yeah. So much money. Like it's raining money, right? And it only takes you, what, a year and some like online course? I mean, epic.
Yeah. I'd be like, sign me up.
Me too. Me too. I think that sounds great. And it's funny because when you do TV shows, you see that, like I love $1 Million Listing. I am like, wow, you go to LA, you get a $30 million mansion, you have a party, you drive a Ferrari.
Yeah.
And you just made $600,000 in one sale.
And you're basically just hanging out with your friends and eating fancy food.
In the Hollywood Hills.
Yeah.
I'm like, perfect.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But that's obviously not the reality.
Yeah.
It's not the reality. The reality is that nobody, like from a business perspective, like the first thing you need to wrap your head around is that you are now starting your own business. If you don't have an idea of how to run a business, you are not going to do well in this industry because nobody hands you structure. Nobody says, here's your real estate license. Here's your business plan. Here's your marketing plan. Here's your budget for your financials. Nobody says any of that to you.
Yeah.
It's
So
not part of the school, the education. They don't touch on any of
no,
that. Really?
you know,
Okay.
mostly, and I mean, again, like I took my licensing 19 years ago. So 19 years ago, when I did it, it was all about the things you don't really need to know much about. The history of real estate, the nuances of the different governing bodies. What does that have to do with bricks and mortar? Nothing.
No.
But they have to test you on something because what do they test you on?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
you can't do systems of the house because that's the property inspector. You go through contractual, you know, sort of subject matter, but the reality is these forms change every few months.
Yeah.
So you can't test on something that may no longer be accurate, right?
Yeah.
So they start talking to you about things that don't matter. They don't even really give you any sales techniques.
No,
Really?
they don't at all.
Really?
And I took
That's
the course like
fascinating.
5 years ago, and they have 5. I think it was 5 chapters on like mortgages and learning how to calculate specific payments for like, you know,
Because you're a
60 years
mortgage
in.
broker
But
with your real estate.
But at the same
license,
time,
right?
you're not allowed to give any advice.
That's what
like,
I'm
why
saying.
are we
It's
getting tested?
ridiculous.
So I think it's to like make it so not everyone can become a realtor just like that. Thankfully, I think there are some more barriers for people to do it, just in the sense that if you really want it, then you should really want it. And you should, you know, want to go through and tough it through the course because it can be really dry. And then be faced on the other side, like know that now you need to, after you pass the exam, now you need to learn how to be a realtor, because you don't pass the exam and know how. You pass the exam and have all this knowledge of like, hey, now I know what a title is and these other things, which, you know, you need to know. But a lot of it,
Do they teach you
You
the
don't
legalities at all? Like, because I'm sure
Some
there's a
of
lot
it.
of legal work that goes with selling and
some of
buying
it,
houses.
but not what you need to know.
Really?
Like you
That's
learn
fascinating.
that as you go along from your managing brokers and from experience. And I think it's such an interesting career because the learning never stops, right?
Right.
Like you start and it
Yeah,
continues
yeah.
to, the career itself changes, the role itself changes, like Vanessa said, like continuously changing in our world that's continuously changing. And I think that is so interesting. That what you could do back then, even flipping houses.
Right. Yeah, I love that's how you
Thank
got your
goodness,
start.
like, you know, you were able to like continue to move your career along and change it and come up with a different niche.
Yeah.
Because I don't think somebody could like solely be like selling only like flipping houses to people these days, just because of the conditions we're in, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it is really quite interesting. So you talked about like money versus like what it's really like. Is there anything else from like a client's perspective that you kind of, maybe you wish like all the clients knew that they think like real estate agents are a certain way or do certain things, but really it's a little different than that?
Yes. So you just unpacked so much. And I'm actually, I'm curious about one thing. I will answer your question, but I'm curious about one thing because you got licensed only 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So you were licensed here in BC, you took the course.
Yeah.
And what you just said is you got out of the course and you really didn't know how to sell real estate. So what happens next?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like truly, like
That's
what
one of
did
my
you
questions.
do?
What do you
What
do?
I did,
What
well,
do
my
you do?
husband's a realtor.
Yeah.
So he talked to me about it. Like, this is what I do. And then sort of like let me come a little closer and like talk to me about what he just did with his clients. I did this, and the reason I talked to them about that is because they need to know that going in for their own good. Like you said, they don't know the questions they need to ask necessarily. So he's like, you know, showing me how to educate people. And okay, well, I'm negotiating a deal now. Well, I I managed it this way because now I'm thinking about this and I'm like, oh my God, I would never have thought of that. Like all strategy. I didn't know strategy was involved. Like, I guess it is. Now I know why, like I'm more of like an academic mind. So I'm like, okay, it's so like, it's just so deep in the sense that, everyone can like bring their different skills. Like he's a very different person from me and I bring very, very different skills. I'm like a people person. I'm a happy-go-lucky kind of person.
But if you're dealing with general public, that makes sense, right? Because you have so many different personality types you're working with,
Yes.
client types.
And different like things you have to do in your day-to-day. Like it is not just what people see on TV.
Yeah,
like,
you're not just driving around in your pretty
$1 Million
car
Listing
going,
is,
so look at this house.
Yeah, that's why that show's so funny too, because you're like, hey, I haven't even seen you write a contract one time. Or like,
Right.
What if they're, and the negotiating are like, yeah, okay. It's hilarious. It's not really always like that. Or usually it's like never. So, yeah, I kind of lost track, but I think it's something that, like I see people, come from like hospitality a lot. I see people come from, like financing and like government jobs, and they all bring their own set of skills that sometimes I'm like, oh, that's a really good one, like extra good, and sometimes I'm surprised. Oh, you really took that knowledge that you had and you entered it. Maybe you weren't a crazy outgoing people person, but there are people there that also aren't and don't want to deal with somebody who has a big personality. And you spoke numbers to them and they were that made them very comfortable, and they're very, they trust you and you're their person. And so it's so interesting in that way that people from all over, like you said,
That's so part of the industry though. Like I'm coming from a property management perspective, and I see real estate agents, and a lot of our property managers are also agents, and I really see the people component being like the overarching part of real estate, right? You really have to understand who your clients are, who you are as a person and as an agent.
Yeah.
And then that helps you service your clients better, I'm assuming, right? Is really knowing that people angle and how to work with people in different ways.
Yeah, you don't get into real estate because you like houses. Like you don't. You really don't. You get into real estate because you like uncertainty, you like challenges, and you can effectively handle people's emotions, right? So people say it's a people business. Yes, I don't think that any sales position is not a people business.
Yeah.
Although that is the nice thing about real estate. If you are not so people oriented, then you can do other sort of facets versus just doing residential. So for example, if you're in commercial, you don't deal with people.
That would definitely be different.
You don't need to worry about someone falling in love with the kitchen.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Does the space work?
Yeah.
That's right. Is the amount right?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So that's why, depending on where your strengths lie, that's why this is nice, because you do have different sections or different sort of aspects of real estate that you will fit into, right?
That's fascinating.
Yeah. I always thought of it like at first I was like, personally, like, oh, I'm not a salesperson. Like, I don't want to sell somebody something. Like, I didn't even like it when I was working in restaurants back in the day. I didn't like having to upsell. I'm like, I don't want to make people pay for extra. I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
And, but then I realized that in my mind anyways, it's not really so much about sales, and it's just more about service and like being of service to your clients and like helping them through, which everybody says now, but like it's true, like helping them through the whole process and taking all these years of experience and that's what I think realtors really have to offer, is all this experience that they can say, hey, you may not read about this, but I know for a fact that like these things happen, and so I would caution you to do it this way or whatever. Let's just pay attention to these things. Whereas, if you're buying and selling every 6 years, even like you said, it's like, well, you may not know that right now. That's what's happening out there. Mm-hmm. So that's like,
well, that's the problem.
What it is, right?
So you got your license 5 years ago, and you were lucky enough to have a mentor that you lived with.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So that is the disconnect that I think is happening in our industry, full stop.
What clients see versus like what you do. Yeah.
So one of the things that I find interesting, when you meet a seller, for example, the seller wants to sell their house. Let's just say they're selling a house. They want to sell it for as much money as possible, as quickly as possible, with no issues, no hiccups, no last minute kerfuffles.
That's the dream.
That's the dream. And so they pick an agent, they interview them, they decide that the agent is the right person for the job. The agent does all of their research, looks at the market, gets their staging, the presentation, any kind of media, whatever they're doing to promote the property. They put it on the market. It's on the market for 3 days. They get a full price offer. It goes out without a hitch. It sells. Doesn't that sound like the perfect scenario?
Yeah.
Real estate agents get paid way too much. Oh my God, 3 days of work and I just like totally got them all done. Oh my God, real estate agents, what a ripoff.
Yeah. Why am I paying somebody for this?
Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make
got it done in
sense.
3 days.
Yeah.
That's why. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Can you walk us through a deal you've had where there was a lot happening behind the scenes that you were working on, but the client kind of never really saw what you actually did to help with that deal?
Well, let's go back to the example where I sold the house for full price. Let's go back to the example where I sold the house for full price in 3 days with no hiccups. That's what the client sees.
Yeah.
And then they think I'm overpaid. Behind the scenes, that doesn't happen by accident.
No.
So that's the reality every single time.
Yeah.
When you see the kerfuffle, that's an inexperienced agent hoping and praying they can pull this off without it crashing down around everyone.
Okay.
Every experience a client should have is seamless. And if it isn't seamless, there was a disconnect either in the communication between the agent and the client, or the agent and the other agent on the other side, or the client and their people. So whether it's their financial institution, their property inspector, whatever. There's been a breakdown somewhere.
Okay.
And the best agents have a skill set to get it back on track. Right?
Because there are challenges that come up that are out of realtors' hands that just happen, right? For all those things you mentioned, or something comes up in the house or whatever, or the buyers are just all of a sudden weird, but yeah, the skill to like take that and be like, you know what, this isn't done yet. We're going to bring this back to life. It's not dead yet. This is, we have the components needed, and then managing your clients through it all so that they don't like freak out, right? So what I'm hearing is that the 3 days of work, maybe what the client would be really nice if the clients knew that the 3 days of work is many, many years of work, in fact, and experience. Like you don't go and see a doctor and he sees you for 5 minutes and you know what he gets paid ish. You'd look it up on Google, but like, that he gets paid well, but you're not going to be like, doctors get paid too much. Like, honestly, he only saw me for, okay, hopefully it's more than 5 minutes, like honestly, but 10 minutes, let's say 10 minutes. He only saw me for 10 minutes, but did he fix it? Hopefully he did. If he did, what are we complaining about? Like, that's what we wanted, right? So it's the same idea. A professional that takes their lifetime to,
So maybe that's
train.
what's leading to that misperception, is the fact that as a professional and knowing and doing your job so well, the perception is that you're not working, but yet you're doing your job so well that it makes it look like you're doing it so easily and it's just happening, right? But meanwhile, all those years of experience, I'm sensing, like, that's what I'm getting, is all those years of experience just show in that moment.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so like every profession, there's like challenges, and everyone can have like those days where you're like, seriously, why am I doing this? So I'm sure you probably have some of those. And what is it that keeps you in real estate and carrying on?
There's so much. I mean, the idea of having a career where there is not multiple days that you feel like this was the worst decision I ever made. I am going to do something else entirely. I think everyone that has a job or a life at some point is not happy with the choices they've made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's just life.
Multiple
Yeah.
times,
Right?
yes.
Sometimes multiple times a day.
Yes.
Right?
Depending on the day, yeah.
Right? But what I would say is that, like life, when you have more experience, then you're able to, I think, put that individual issue into perspective. So, for example, when I was a new agent, I would take any client. And so it was always the person that said, hey, can you find me one of those flipper houses that you do? And I'm like, sure, yeah. And what I have realized is that just like I am not the agent for every single person out there, you may not be the client that I want.
Mhm.
And the reality is that if you don't set boundaries early in your career, like day one,
Mhm.
you will inevitably take on clients that are not suited to your skill set. And when you do that, you work 5, 10, 100 times harder.
Mhm.
They're still not satisfied because you're not a good fit.
Yeah.
And they will tell that story of the horrific real estate agent that they have worked with to every person at every little cocktail party.
Everyone who listened, yeah.
Whereas in the beginning, had you had the wisdom to say, I don't think that we're a good fit, and that's okay.
Would you pass a client to perhaps another agent that you think would be a fit?
Maybe.
If you did run
If
into
you
that
know
situation?
someone, this is the thing. When you have experience, you start to know people that will service that client well. So, for example, if I had someone that was not a good fit for me, perhaps it was a geographic location. Like maybe it's just that. If you are more than an hour away from my house,
Mhm.
I am not going to be the best agent for you because every time I have to drive to your house, that's a 2-hour evolution.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't really have the market knowledge probably to go that far out of my little area. So just that alone would be a reason for me to say no. But if I know someone that might work, happy to say, here, maybe give this person a call.
Mhm.
But the other thing is that when you have a career like we do, that I do, that's 100% commission sales. So if you don't sell, you don't eat.
Mhm.
There is, for some people, this wonderful sink or swim. And that's what gets me jazzed. That's the part that I am like, oh yeah, I'm swimming.
Okay.
I am swimming. But when you get people that haven't had a paycheck in 6 months or 7 or 8, they then start making poor choices because I think it becomes more about the money in their pocket than the service they're
A
giving.
little bit of desperation.
And buyers and sellers feel that. They feel that, they sense it. It's almost like a spiral. So to avoid all of that, because nobody wins in that situation.
Yeah.
The agent doesn't win, the seller doesn't win, the buyer doesn't win. What I would say is if you are thinking about getting into this profession, or maybe you are in this profession and not doing it well, take a step back and reset because you can always do that.
Yeah.
So what you need to look at first is this is a business, and you cannot have a successful business if you don't have structure, if you don't have systems, if you don't have knowledge. So you need to set that foundation before you start building your business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's sort of where I have always taken a good look at what I'm doing. Like after 19 years, I've done hundreds of deals. And each deal is somewhat systematic because I have systems. I always do this, then that, then this. The paperwork follows, the routine follows. When you get into that, you, number one, quickly see where things are deviating. So if this pattern is not following, there's an issue. And is it an issue with me? Is it an issue with the property? Is it an issue with one of the other service providers? whatever it is, you start to be able to identify, okay, this is not going the way it normally does. And if you don't have a system, you may not even know that there's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Right?
That makes sense. Because yeah, you would things aren't flowing. You definitely hit the thing. You can stop because you're like, hey, the system is off.
Right.
I
Right?
missed something.
I missed something.
Yeah.
Something's not
Something
working.
is not working. Right? And I think that really helps when, the other side of it too is like logistically, you need to write contracts.
Yeah.
You need to read the contract
Yes.
that you're writing.
Do your clients read what they're getting into?
Do they read? Well,
I mean-
sometimes.
I mean, do they read their contracts? Like, do you sit down and explain it to them?
Of course.
And
Like, this is the crazy thing. I heard this story and I don't know if it's true. I would like to think it's not true. It may very well be true, but my system is I write the contract, I send it to the client, then I get the client to come back with me and we go through line by line by line. But I've given them an opportunity of typically 3 or 4 days, sometimes 3 or 4 weeks, in which to review it on their own and then see if they have, lots of times it's not just one person that you're dealing with, right? It's not one buyer or one seller. It's one buyer and one seller and all of the important people in their life and their parents and their grandparents and their uncle and the neighbor
their
down the
dog and
street
their
that
cat,
knows
yeah.
everything about real estate, right?
Yeah.
So that aspect is that you get time to vet that contract and maybe you're comparing it against other agents with their contracts. Totally legitimate and actually encouraged. Because if you only talk to me, you don't know if there's a better me out there. And you should know that because then you feel confident in saying, I interviewed 3 agents or 4 or 10, and I pick you.
Yeah.
And as the agent, I do the same.
Oh, okay.
I interview you because the first day I meet you, if I get a niggly that there's something I just don't like, that is you on your very best behavior.
Yeah.
And it only goes downhill from there.
Yeah.
Right?
true.
Like it
That's
only
true.
goes downhill from there.
That's
so
true.
that's when I say, "Oh, I think you are a lovely person and you have a lovely property or you have a lovely bank account to go buy a lovely property, but I am not the agent for you.
So you've actually walked away from.
Oh, I've walked away from plenty
Okay.
and people have walked away from me. It's okay to have that relationship dissolve.
Yeah.
That's totally okay.
Yeah.
The professional does it with a tone of voice that is not aggressive, with a manner that is not negative upon themselves or their profession or their brokerage. You act like an adult, you dissolve the relationship, and you both move on and you're both happier.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Like all of that is okay.
Yeah.
It's not okay to keep doing the same thing,
Yeah.
to have that combative relationship because real estate is stressful for everyone. And some people manage stress better than others. So as an agent who has been through a lot of deals, I manage the stress fairly well. The client thinks it's amazingly well. My husband would say I am epically awful at managing stress, right? But the
Yes.
client gets the most reassurance when I am not going, oh my God,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
oh my God,
Yeah.
oh my God,
Yeah.
right? Like
You
that's
stay
the last
steady.
thing.
Yeah.
They have their moments and you
Yeah.
bring them back. Yeah.
And you have to let them have their moment.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone, when they're freaking out, if someone says, would you just calm down? Has that ever worked?
No.
It has never worked.
No.
Does the opposite.
It does the
Yeah,
opposite to me
exactly.
too.
For
I'm like,
most
don't you
people.
tell me what to do.
Exactly.
I'm gonna freak out right here. But you do have to allow that emotion to come out. You have to identify it.
Yeah.
You have to find out why it happened. What was it that triggered this emotion?
Yeah.
And then you have to deal with it, or at least give them options to deal with it,
Yes.
right? So that's that management, that's that system.
Yeah.
When this happens, do that.
Do this. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So these are all things that I think anyone that owns a business, anyone that runs their own life
Yeah.
with, any success, You have to be able to have a pattern and a routine that you can fall back on, because when things get hairy, that steady stream of this, then that, this, then that will allow you to be the most successful.
Yeah.
Then you're treating it like, well, you're investing your time in it too, right? So even when you don't have, not that this would happen to you, but you don't have anything going on, let's say, nothing, but you still have things that you do. You don't just, well, I guess I got nothing, I'm just going to do nothing today with real estate. You're still going to go, the successful agents still go through the steps to keep business coming and go and getting food on the table. You still keep it happening. So I see the newer agents don't know what to do in those moments. It's one thing when you're busy doing deals, and then when it stops, then what? Right? You need to continue. So treating it, like I tell all new agents to sign up with us, like you can be successful. I think one of the things is you need to treat it like a real job.
It is.
It's
a
job.
real
It's
job.
more than a job. It's more than a job. It's definitely like a career, a profession, life. But in the sense that you put in your time every day, because things aren't just going to come to you. That might happen eventually in your career when you have so many people and you've treated so many people nicely and done so many great transactions for them, and they are now referring to all their friends. So good job on that. Then you're at that point, then maybe you can let things will come to you more. But it sure takes a lot of work to get there.
See, I would argue that it never ends. So what you just said is what everybody wants to believe.
Yeah.
That I make it look easy.
Yeah, you do.
I just sit here and have little conversations with you guys. And in the background, I've just sold 5 houses. You just didn't know about it.
Yeah.
Because I just attract it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's a lie. And that's what you just said is the fundamental problem with everybody that wants to be a real estate agent.
Yeah.
That you get to a point and then it just happens.
Or it's just going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
Because I see all these real estate agents and they don't look like they're working.
Yeah. It definitely doesn't come to you.
When you look at the Olympics, we just had the Olympics, and you look at the people that ski down the hill and holy cow, that was 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You just got a gold medal for 30 seconds of skiing down a hill.
You can see the 20 years they put into the practice and the dedication.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with any career, but real estate especially. There is no coasting.
Yeah.
So there's no
You
off
either
button,
work
basically.
or you don't work.
Yeah.
And if you have a system, it makes work really easy because you wake up and it doesn't matter if you have anything on the go or not. You will keep working and practicing and trying and putting people in positions where they are going to be able to talk to you about what you do. And if you don't do that, if you stop, guess what? The train stops too.
Yeah.
That little gravy train that you have running by you,
It's true.
it stops too. So the most successful agents are just really consistent with being consistent.
Yeah.
Right? Like when you are young, you have so much energy.
Yeah.
You have no preconceptions of limitation.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? And you have no idea that you can fail.
Yeah.
And sometimes that is a really great person to have on your team because it does take a village.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like it really does.
Yeah.
Like these new agents that rock up and they're like, I'm 20 and I am going to be making $2 million a year. I'm going to be balling it. I don't know. I might work 4 months a year. I'm not going to do much more than that. And I'm like, I love your enthusiasm. Idiot.
You're just like, you'll find out.
You'll find out.
Yeah.
But go, guy, go.
Well, at least I have enthusiasm to start. You gotta have something. You gotta have
there is
something.
something to be said for that, for sure. You need the drive, and they have the drive.
Yeah. Well, it is such an independent business. Like you said, it's a business. It's your own business.
Yeah.
You're the only one who's
You're the only
controlling
one.
it. Even if you work for a brokerage, it's still yours, right?
You get out what you put into it, right? So
Yeah.
Just have a plan. I mean, really, that's just a good life lesson.
Yeah.
Have a plan.
Yeah.
Put your plan into action. Have a contingency plan in case the one plan doesn't do exactly what you thought.
Yeah.
And everything will be fine.
Yeah.
Everything will be fine.
Yeah. It is amazing how many people don't do that, though.
Yeah.
But hopefully this will influence a few to have that plan and start putting together those systems to make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great to see.
Well, thank you very much, Vanessa.
Yeah, thank
really
you.
appreciate your perspective and your time today.
Yeah,
Thank you for
fascinating
having me.
conversation. Appreciate it very much.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.